God came among us in the person of Jesus Christ, who was fully God, fully man. In the incarnation, God walked among us, talked among us, and in doing so, not only did he save us through his cross and resurrection, but he instructed and taught us what it meant and what it means to be fully human, what it means to be a disciple, how we're meant to live, how we're meant to be in relationship with God. And gosh, what a great lesson he's giving us today. Jesus has lots to say about how we are to relate with other people. Today, he's going to speak to us, how do we relate to other things? Not people, but things, possessions. It's really simple. The Catholic understanding of our relationship with possessions is detachment. There is nothing wrong with things, with money, with possessions, but our relationship to those things is to be a relationship of detachment. And what that means is that my possessions do not possess me, that I could at any time let them go and be okay with that. So a question would be, is there any possession in your life, I'm not talking about a person, a thing, any possession in your life that you would be unwilling to give up? I'm not saying you have to give it up. Could you part with it? Now again, it's important to know that Jesus is a great teacher, and he helps us understand that there is a place for possessions and for riches. Just a couple chapters back in Luke's Gospel is the story of the Good Samaritan. We heard that only a few weeks ago. Remember that beautiful story? The man who was beaten half dead by robbers. And then a Samaritan comes by and pours wine and oil into his wounds and bandages them, puts him on his own animal, takes him to an inn and says, I'll be back in a few days. Whatever the bill is, let me know. I'll pay for it. Remember the story? Subtly woven into that story is an understanding that this Samaritan man, he's a man of means. He has money. He has his own animal. He has the ability to make this, I'll pay whatever it takes. So Jesus isn't against having money. It's what we do with it and how willing we are to share it. I had a powerful lesson of detachment in my life I'd like to share with you. I share this story often. And it was a time when I was in Mexico. When I was 18 years old, I sold my stuff and went to Mexico to learn Spanish. And I wanted to have an experience. I was a seminarian at the time. I wanted to have an experience. I wanted to learn Espanol. And I went to a little town in the state of Guanajuato. And all I took with me was a backpack, a school backpack. I wanted to experience the simple life. And when I was there, I spent most of my time in this little neighborhood. I knew the people where I was staying with, but I spent most of my time with the children playing soccer in the streets. These kids were great. Kids, this is where I learned how honest children are. I'd be with the adults in the evening, and I'm just learning Spanish. My Spanish was no bueno. And I was there, and the adults would be like, wow, your Spanish is so good. Your Spanish is excellent. The kids would say literally, you speak like a clown. It sounds better in Spanish. But it's true. That's what's like, I'm hanging with you kids because you're going to teach me Spanish, and I did. I had my dictionary in my back pocket, and one of the first words I learned was blister because that's what I got playing soccer. And so I still know the word for blister, ampolla. So I had many of those. And I spent lots of time in this wonderful community and learned a lot of Spanish, too, from those kids and from the adults as well. And then came my time to leave. I'd been there 12 weeks. And I'm saying goodbye. And all these kids gather around. I'm saying bye, and I will probably never see them again. And then this happened. These little children, ages perhaps 6 to 12, poor kids, not destitute, but poor. They all scattered, and they all came back, each holding their favorite toy, toys that we had played with all summer long. And they took their toys and they said, "Here, take this with you." I didn't know what to say. They wanted to give me their favorite toy. Now, when I was their age, I wouldn't have done that. I would have gone to my toy box and dig to the toy that's broken on the bottom and not playing anymore, and I would have given that one away. And I'm just frozen. What do I do? I can't take these kids' toys. But if I don't take them, they'll be heartbroken. Lord, what do I do? And then it came to me. I said, "Okay, kids." I said, "I'll take one toy from the whole group. I'll take one to remind me of all of you." And even that was hard. But I learned something from those children. Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And I wanted to live with that kind of detachment with possessions. And I've tried to have it in my life, and I've not always been perfect with that, but that's how I want to live. To be able to at any moment say, "Here, you can have it. You need it? Or this brings joy to you? Here, you take it." That's how I want to live. And I think that's what Jesus is trying to teach us in the scriptures today, to have that kind of relationship with the things of this world. Again, there's nothing wrong with having things and deriving joy with things, but to have the spiritual maturity to be able to at any moment say, "Here, you can have it." That's a powerful, powerful spiritual maturity, and those kids had it naturally, and they taught me something. And I think about Jesus and his relationship with the things of this world. And by the time Christ came to the cross, in the moment of our redemption, at that moment, Christ had given everything away. By the time Christ came to the cross, he literally had nothing left to give. They were even shaking dice for his last piece of clothing. He left the world with nothing. He had given it all away. Wow. No, I'm not there. I don't claim to be there, but I want to be like that. Now, I know he didn't have kids to pass things on to. That's different. I understand that. But there's still this sense of that radical giftedness of the things that we have. And it's not only our physical possessions, but it's also our reputations and ideas. Am I possessive of what people think of me? My reputation. Am I willing to even let that go? I spent a lot of time working with young people. Let me give you an example of letting go of a reputation. I was with young people, and there was going to be a concert coming, and it was a country music concert. And this group over here was like, "Gross, country music, I hate country music. Blah." And I said, "What?" I said, "Hold on, time out." I said, "You can like whatever music you want. I don't care what you like. Is it that you really dislike the music itself, or you just dislike being associated with country music because your friends don't like country music? Is it the reputation of country music, or is it the music itself? Huh?" As young people, we get so caught up into cliques and groups, and we just defend our reputation, and it doesn't happen just as kids, does it? Our honor, all these sorts of things. To be detached from the things of this world. And Christ models that perfectly. Perfectly. So here we are, being, again, taught by Christ today. He teaches us how to relate to other people. He teaches us how to relate with things. And we're all on our own journey. So wherever you are with that today, there you are. And as we come to receive the Eucharist, the very life of Christ in us today, let's invite Christ into that place where maybe we're not detached. We still have a firm hold. And let the loving arms and hands of Christ come in and begin to free us from these attachments to these things. Again, not because they're bad, but to be able to live with that detached freedom. Because in the end, Jesus says, it's important to be rich in what matters to God. That's how the gospel ended. Be rich in what matters to God.